So I have a question for you. If I were to look in your weekly calendar right now, let's say for the week, for this current week, and would there be some white space in it where you can take breaks, where you can plan, where you can strategize, and when you can actually do your own work? Or would your calendar be lit up like a Christmas tree? In other words, do you have meetings back to back to back and really little time to do anything for yourself, whether it comes to eating lunch or going for a walk or doing your own work? Now, if the latter is true and you have so many meetings that you're feeling a little out of control, like you do not have control over your schedule or over your productivity, then that can be really frustrating, but it can also be really exhausting. And if that sounds familiar, you are absolutely not alone. The reason why I'm talking about this is that I am hearing about it 10 times a week from my private one-on-one clients. I'm hearing about it from these corporate groups and facilitations that I'm leading. And I'm also hearing it in some speaking events because the chat roles are getting lit up with this very concern. So I wanted to come up and share some solutions with you, and also an exciting event that's coming up on Thursday. Now, here's the thing. Passport Health came out with a report. Passport Health is a company that focuses on corporate wellness. And one thing that they were writing about is not just about overwhelm, but this lack of control and how it impacts our psychological health, obviously our physical health, and it certainly impacts our productivity and company's profitability. And the ripple down effect of this can be very, very significant. But when it comes to you, it's important for you, for your job satisfaction, for your joy, but also for your health and well-being, and certainly because your voice needs to be heard now more than ever. Where your passion lies, your expertise, where you can bring your compassion and your intuitiveness is so important now, and that is not going to happen from a place of overwhelm. It's not going to happen from a place of you reacting or having to react to other people's demands on you and not having time to plan and strategize and to do your work or to do your art. Okay, so the good news is though that there are some solutions to that. So first of all, it's really important to get clear on what matters most. And also, once you're clear, we can come up with a plan. So again, you can become less reactive and more strategic about what's important to you. Now, Q3, this period of time, it's the perfect time to make a shift. It's a perfect time to slow down right now so we can speed up into the rest of the year and finish the year strong. And I know many of you are doing planning for next year. If that's the case, let's lay the foundation now so you're refreshed and energized going into next year. So we're not just collapsing into the holidays and stumbling into the new year. And with everything going on, we're going to need some new tools and resources. So here's the thing. There's a couple things within our control that we can do. Now, I'm going to be covering these more in depth on Thursday and the event that's coming up, the free live cast. And I'll give you instructions to those below. But here's the thing. One thing is to be aware of stories that you're telling yourself when it comes to setting boundaries in your calendar. So in other words, not to throw us women under the bus all at the same time, but a lot of times we come up with some stories that are our reality, but not necessarily reality. So in other words, well, if I don't show up in the meeting, then I'll be letting someone down, or maybe somebody will think less of me for not showing up, or if I delegate, then I'm overburdening someone, or what have you. And this may be the case, but a lot of times it isn't. So it's very important to start to be aware when it comes to your calendar and setting some boundaries. What is one story that you're telling yourself that may or may not be true? And is there someone that you can talk to about it? So in other words, if you want to delegate something to someone, maybe have a conversation with them and say, it doesn't seem like this meeting is absolutely necessary for me, and I really think and I'm really confident that you can handle it. How do you feel about that? Have a conversation about them, not about them, but with them. So you might be really surprised. So that's just an example, but think about one story that you might be telling yourself that might not necessarily be true in terms of your calendar, your schedule, and how you've committed yourself to different things throughout the day. And then second, it might be really important, and what we're going to do in this workshop coming up is to get out your calendar and have a look at your calendar, because sometimes all it takes is a different perspective. I've been doing this so much the last couple weeks in my groups and also with my one-on-one clients, where they look at their calendar, we look at it together, they do not see any way that it can change. They kind of feel like it is how it is, and it's really overwhelming and it's frustrating, but there are things to shift and there's a perspective that you can get. So we're gonna take a look at your calendar, and one thing that you can do right now with your calendar is have a look at your weekly calendar and ask yourself, do I need to be in these meetings? Can I delegate these meetings, or can these meetings be shorter? And so that's just a really good place to start. And then finally, think about a 90-day plan. So you have a little bit more control than you might think. So rather than get too stuck in where you are right now, try to think about, where do I want to be in 90 days? And then work it backwards from there. Now, one thing that we're going to be working on in this free live virtual workshop is going to be how to figure out that 90-day plan. But for you right now, start jotting down, how do you want to feel? What would an ideal schedule look like? Even if you don't think that it's possible right now, but you want to start thinking that through so you can start piecing it together. So if you want some help to feel a little bit more in control so you can be more productive and ultimately more impactful for yourself, but also for the people that matter most to you, that you interact with in and outside of your work, I'm going to help you put all of that together. We're going to be doing that Thursday, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. noon Pacific time, and I hope to see you there.